I think honestly, one of the big things is just the most obvious is the increased number of people who become famous, which then, along with the seeming ease and lack of gatekeeping, which I'll come back to in a second because it's only a seeming one, then gives this illusion that fame is much more of a viable prospect for more people than it had been in the past. And I think this is also a founding myth of so much digital fame is the sense that you can do it too. Doesn't cost anything to download TikTok, doesn't cost anything to download Instagram. Uh, Anyone can create a YouTube account. The work has been done for us. It's not even like the early days of the internet where you had to have a certain amount ability in HTML coding to create the early forms of blogs, or even pay for a platform like a live journal page, which may not be much, but if you're looking at teenagers in particular, who seem to be a big beneficiary of this, then they're already working with limited resources. So I think this sense of openness and the sense that more people are becoming famous is one of the big things that's changed. And the increased numbers then, of course, create these other social discourses, including a panic about young people wanting to be famous in the light of, possibly limited other economic options, the sense that becoming famous, developing a persona and a career on one of the platforms is possibly a better investment than going to college, or even within college. It might be, and I've had students say this to me, that their college has actually helped them more by giving them a platform as a college girl, and it's usually girls in a big city, that they can then use as part of their Instagram or their TikTok identity and then build some degree of fame. I think this also happens at other levels, like the Bama Rush documentary and TikToks uh, going viral because you're a specific kind of college girl. So I think it's caused some panic that it sort of seemed to reverse priorities, that this shouldn't be something that people are investing in. Uh, I think there are many reasons why that's a problematic statement, because I totally can understand the attraction. But I think the other problem is that in seeming to make fame more ubiquitous, then you also have this lack of awareness of what algorithms actually do and how algorithms can't we all can't be visible. We can all open an account, but there's less attention paid to the other side of this kind of celebrity, which is that most people don't get that much visibility. We can't be following all of the people who are out there. It's been many years now since YouTube announced that more content was being released per minute than anyone could ever watch in their life. And so this issue, I think, also gives rise to another kind of work that people don't think about, which is how young people themselves can sometimes find themselves either fortunately picked up by the algorithm, or can develop ways to manipulate the algorithm to make sure that they remain visible. And at the same time, how this also can tie into other problems, such as the use of digital marketers to make certain people famous because the family may already have the kind of means that can mean someone like Charlie D'Amelio can go viral, can master the algorithm because they can afford to hire digital strategists from the start. And I'm not picking on her, but I think this is something that you start to see around 2007, 2008 with the second wave of bloggers, where it shifts from being people who got picked up because they were interesting and creative to people who have families who decided on an image before anything was put onto the internet, hired digital marketers, made sure they had the right name. Someone like Leandro Medine, the man repeller, probably being one of the first and most notable of that generation. So I think that there's both the myth of ubiquity, but also the problems that the algorithm doesn't make everyone visible. It can't. And what it filters out. TikTok tends to filter out people who look older, who have wrinkles. It's less likely to focus on young people of color. It's more likely to focus on young white people. there's a certain kind of brand that is of content that's already tied in with the platform that the algorithm helps to perpetuate. And of course, if you're a celebrity, then in all these platforms, your content is going to be boosted. So it's complicated.
Right. Um, so if I get this right, in the sense that even though fame might be accessible at the touch of a button, by that I mean, if you can, like you said, how everyone can install TikTok, but it seems like an illusion where even though
Yeah,
everybody can install TikTok, and there is that aspect that even I can make a 15-second video and millions of people can watch it, and next day I'm on the Tonight Show. But most of the time, because there is so much of content being uploaded every single minute, it's highly unlikely that a person like me can create, let's say, a TikTok video and then go on to achieve fame, such as, let's say, Charlie or Addison Rae per se. So it seems
yeah,
like the the narrative is such that everybody can be a star, but because of the nature of the beast, that a star, to be considered a star, I mean, there are only few people that can ultimately be considered, like, will end up being a star. So I feel that am I getting that sense right, where
yeah,
there
yeah.
seems to be that conflict?
Yeah, and I don't think it's a meritocracy. I don't think it's necessarily related to the content, just because these algorithms obviously are not monitoring everything and putting and selecting what is perfect for you. That they're working on what you've already seen, like all AI does, and they're also working with people, some of whom have the means to say, okay, I've got a marketing team behind me, I've got a digital strategist. How do we manipulate the algorithm to the best ends possible? And of course, like everything else, like the lottery, some people are just going to get through. There are going to be people who have exactly the scenario you described. They're going to post a video to TikTok. It's going to immediately take off. They're going to become extremely successful. And the only question is, and I think this is a question that dogs all celebrity, is how long can you continue to interest the same people? Uh, that it's especially if you're somebody who lives a relatively ordinary life. I can understand why all my students were fascinated with watching Sophia Richie's wedding TikToks, because they could see designer clothes, they could see the insides of incredibly lavish hotel rooms, and they could see someone's private life that they'd only really seen as sort of a supporting character on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and suddenly all of this was revealed to them at this moment that's also culturally coded as an intimate moment, the moment of getting ready for wedding parties and for your own wedding. So it was brilliantly strategized, but nobody thinks that this is something that she just decided to do at the spur of the moment. This obviously was tied in with sponsorship deals and access to clothing and experiences that everyone involved had to be in on for months in advance. But it was extremely successful, and I think that is, it's not the only way these things work, because of course they don't become, authenticity is the buzzword, and they don't, and things are not authentic if everyone thinks everything they're watching is is gifted to them courtesy of a marketing agency or a digital strategist.